సీసీఎంబీ సంచలన ప్రకటన చేసింది. ఏడాది తరువాతే కరోనా వ్యాక్సిన్ వస్తుందని సీసీఎంబీ డైరెక్టర్ రాకేష్ మిశ్రా తేల్చి చెప్పారు. కరోనా తీవ్రత ఇంకా తగ్గలేదన్న సీసీఎంబీ అజాగ్రత్తగా ఉంటే మాత్రం ముప్పు తప్పదన్నారు. మాస్క్ ధరించడం, భౌతిక దూరం పాటించడం చేయకపోతే మళ్లీ లాక్డౌన్ విధించే పరిస్థితి రావచ్చని సీసీఎంబీ హెచ్చరించింది. అన్ని దేశాల్లోనూ కరోనా వ్యాక్సిన్ పై ఇంకా ట్రయల్సే జరుగుతున్నాయన్న సీసీఎంబీ కోట్ల మందికి వ్యాక్సిన్ తేవటం కష్టమే అన్నారు. సో వ్యాక్సిన్ ఎప్పుడు వస్తుంది, దీనికి సంబంధించిన మరింత సమాచారం మనకి అందించడానికి సీసీఎంబీ డైరెక్టర్ రాకేష్ మిశ్రా గారు మనతో లైవ్లో జాయిన్ అవుతున్నారు. ఆయన అడిగి తెలుసుకుందాం. నమస్తే సార్.
నమస్తే.
గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్. సో ఎట్ ప్రెజెంట్ పీపుల్ ఆర్ ఈగర్లీ వెయిటింగ్, డెస్పరేట్లీ వెయిటింగ్ ఫర్ ద వ్యాక్సిన్. సో కానీ అంటే బట్ యూ ఆర్ సేయింగ్ దట్ యువర్ రీసెంట్ కామెంట్స్ ఆర్ ఫ్రైటనింగ్ బికాస్ యూ సెడ్ యూ హ్యావ్ కాషన్డ్ us like it might take months to year. So how long it will take, sir, actually?
See, it's very difficult to predict when the vaccine will come. This is a very tough job and unpredictable job. There is no vaccine against any coronavirus which is effective. And that's a precaution that we have to keep in mind. And having said that, it is unprecedented effort that is being put. Never ever so much money, so much of a human resource and effort has been put and rules have been relaxed for a vaccine. So we might have a candidate or we might have a vaccine appearing. But what I mean to say is that that will be a vaccine which will not be fully tested. Any vaccine that is going to come in next few months will be tested at the best for 6 months. So we will be asking question whether this vaccine will be protecting us for 1 year, 2 years. Nobody would know, because that has not been tested. It will take 1 and 2 years to figure out if the vaccine is protecting us for longer period of time, and we cannot fast forward time. So we have to wait that long to have a reliable, robust and effective vaccine. We might get a candidate, we might get something which has passed stage 3 trial with 50% efficacy or 70% efficacy. But what people have to keep in mind is that that is not yet fully tested. It will be available to some, not to all. So that is why most of the people in the country will have to wait more than a year or even more before they will get a shot on the vaccine. There are, if you want to know in little bit of detail, if you give me a minute, a vaccine, whether it will come or not is a open question. There are good signs, but it is still a trial. Trials can fail. That is number one. Let's hope that trial succeeds. We will have a vaccine which will say that it's protecting people, but we will not know whether how robust is the vaccine, whether it will protect the young people, it will protect old people also. You know that in we get vaccination only childhood. There is hardly any vaccination for the adults, and that we are going to do something new. So all these are uncharted territories, and we cannot guarantee those. Now the third thing is that vaccine will be effective maybe for 6 months at the best, maybe 1 year, maybe lifelong. We do not know that, so we cannot say that here is a vaccine against COVID-19 which will save you forever. So that is not there. That's not going to happen soon. Now imagine all that is good. If a vaccine comes, then there will be a problem of 1.8 billion people, 1.38 billion people. How soon they can get, if it is 2 dose, 3 dose vaccine, is a formidable task. Government is preparing, but it will take a year or more even to provide the vaccine to our population after the vaccine is physically available. So we are talking about something very, very difficult thing. And besides, we might have to do something very new. If it is RNA vaccine like Moderna vaccine, which is one of the front runners so called, you need a very good cold chain of minus 80 or very low temperature. Imagine the villages and many other places, small towns, that will not be easy task to do. So even if there is a vaccine available, declared, people in India will get vaccine, most of the people after a year or even after that. So that is why we should not at all relax based on TV news or newspaper news that there is a vaccine coming. Vaccine will come, very good, but we have to at the moment take our own steps, which is wear your mask so that you don't get exposed, make sure others wear mask, do social distancing and hand wash. This is what everybody is saying. Prime Minister all the way up to any physician will tell you the same thing, that take care of yourself. But many may not say that don't wait for vaccine, but I would say that let's not wait for vaccine. Let's take the matter in our hands and save ourselves and our friends and our family members. Vaccine comes very good, but reliable vaccine is far away. It's not near.
Sir, as you said, even if we get the vaccine, we cannot predict how long it will protect. I would like to add one more thing, sir. UK scientific advisor says coronavirus unlikely to be eradicated. What is your comment on it, sir?
No, I would not disagree with that, although I wish the otherwise. But because this is a virus which is very efficient, it spreads very fast. And another good, thing which will not let it go is this virus is asymptomatic most of the time. So it will stay. We harbor large of parasite in our body, and this will be in the end one of those friendly viruses which will be hanging around, because anyway 90-95% of the people will not bother so much even if they are infected. Only comorbid or elderly people have difficulty. So being very efficient and being silent survivor, this virus will stay for a long time, it will stay forever. All we have to do is to learn how to live with it till some kind of herd immunity kicks in, or some kind of better drugs or effective vaccine, for example, is found. But it is very unlikely that there will be a vaccine which will protect for 5 year, 10 year, 100% of the people. Very unlikely, it doesn't happen easily. So we might have to live with this virus, but that is nothing very difficult. We just have to be little cautious, and that's what people are talking about, new normals.
Sir, also now at present we are not having any vaccine, so everybody are concentrating on immunity boosters. So CCMB also have launched the Corona Aid immunity booster. So how it will protect us, sir?
So I will not call it a immunity booster. That company may be advertising in different ways. What we have tested, so this is something interesting. This is a material that comes from a mushroom which is eaten by people. So for decades, it's a traditionally known mushroom, and is one of the most expensive mushroom. So that means it's a delicacy. This grown in the Himalayan region for very short period time. Rest of time is very cold, so it doesn't grow there. The rest of the year, it just grows for 2 months, 3 months. What this company has done is established its culture system in the laboratory conditions, controlled condition of humidity, temperature, and so on. So you don't have to go to jungle to look for it. It can be grown and supplied, and that's what they've been doing. This mushroom has been known to have many protective properties, so-called immunoboosters, and so on. And there was also some indication that it might be a antiviral food supplement. So based on that, this incubator came to us, GeneCode, and they are our one of the startups who are incubating in our Adal Incubation Center. So we collaborated with them. We went ahead and did a collaborative study, more detail, and asked if this fungal product will be anti-COVID. And it turns out that is very efficient anti-COVID. Actually, in cell system, we grow virus in the cell. So cells are growing, virus is growing in that, it is killing the cell, and large number of virus is produced. When you put any anti-COVID agent, then cells survive and virus doesn't grow. And that's what we observed, that in very low concentration, in micromolar concentration range, they have 70-80% of the virus is killed. So that means when the people eat this as a food, which is a normal practice, so since you are eating this as food, it's not a dangerous thing, it's not going to be toxic and so on, because you are eating it as food, like a potato, like a coriander, like many other food that you eat. So similarly, you are eating this. Now what we are finding is that it has anti-COVID activity. And there is a basis for that. We know there are some ingredient in this which can inhibit the RNA synthesis in the virus, and therefore virus will not be able to replicate. So there are we might do more thorough research to understand the mechanism and fine biology of that. But what is established is that it has a very strong anti-COVID activity because of several of its ingredients that are there in this mushroom.
So do we have any effective treatment for the COVID-19, sir?
There is no established specifics. When you say effective treatment, for some people, certain things may be effective, but that doesn't mean that is a specific. Even this mushroom we are talking about is not any specific treatment against COVID-19. It is a supplement nutrient which will help reduce the viral load most probably, and therefore our immune system will be able to handle the virus much better. And that's what is we are talking about. There is no specific drug, there is no specific other alternative treatment against this virus that has been established. People have tried antiviral things, but they are marginally effective. One promising feature that is coming is immunotherapy or antibody based therapy, which is a sophisticated, or you can say more reliable version of the plasma therapy, in which you make antibody against this virus, which is easy to make, either in the lab as a monoclonal or in the animals like horses as a normal antidotal antibody, and that might be sooner available as a treatment. Multiple companies in India, in abroad, one of the companies in collaboration with CCMB is trying that, and that might be a reasonably effective by a specific intervention against this virus available.
So what do you say about clinical trials going on for the vaccination, sir?
Oh, clinical trial, that's very normal thing. Any vaccine, when you identify as a candidate, do basic things so that it is raising an immune response in the animals and it's not toxic to animals and so on, then you start doing trials. There is nothing else to do in the vaccine. And many trials have been, criteria have been relaxed, so many things go into stage 3 trial very quickly because they can do 1 and 2 trials. So reaching a vaccine in stage 3 trial is not something very big, because 1 and 2 is only to see that it causes an immune response. That doesn't mean it protects you, but it causes immune response, and that is not harmful. These two things, once they are there, then large scale stage 3 trial is allowed, and so many vaccines have entered that stage, and we just have to wait and see if some of them will become effective and will be eventually successful vaccination approach.
Now doctors are concentrating on plasma therapy, sir. So how extent, how extent it is helpful, how extent it is useful, how it will protect, sir?
Plasma therapy is a kind of a treatment. It's not a protection. It is if a person has recovered, that person might have antibody against the virus, and therefore if you take the plasma from the person and transfer to another person who is not well, suffering from COVID-19, might get relief from this. Plasma therapy is an emergency alternative provided. It's not an established drug. Recently, in many countries, this has been used, and this is plasma therapy is nothing new. It's used for many decades, and it has been quite useful for certain in certain situations. For COVID-19, people have tested a lot, and many countries have reported successful results from the plasma therapy. However, recently ICMR in India has carried out a trial and showed that plasma therapy doesn't help. Now, this is little bit of a, because that is a scientific fact, so that we have to take it. But plasma therapy, the key thing is that person who has recovered may not have the effective antibodies. So we have to test whether the recovered patient's plasma is neutralizing the virus in a culture condition. So that means there is effective antibody in that. Without that, we should not use. And I'm not sure how many plasma therapy is done with after the neutralization test assay that is available. Second thing is, the person from whom the plasma has been collected might be having other infectious agents or certain biomolecules which are unique to that person at that stage. And if you inject a large amount of such things, other parasites or some chemicals or biomolecules from the patient who recovered into the patient who is suffering, and we are giving plasma therapy means person is in very serious situation. So in that situation it may be more harmful than helpful. So therefore, if extremely carefully screened plasma is used, I'm sure this will be useful. If not useful, it will not be harmful. But that needs to be done, and I'm not sure many places that claim to do plasma therapy have all the sophistication and all the facilities available to do screening of the donor's plasma before giving it to the acceptor's plasma. So therefore, it is a temporary emergency situation, and it depends upon how carefully it has been screened. It will be useful, but that's not going to be permanent solution, because one person can give plasma for one patient. So how many patients you have, you need as many people, and some may be very old person, some may be very young, some may be very anemic and may not be able to donate the blood and so on. So it's very limited option, and that's why it is not going to be a very popular solution.
So, how long the antibodies live in the body who recovered from the COVID, because they are getting again?
What we have seen is that from many reports that up to 3 months, 4 months antibody are around, and therefore the person should be protected. That doesn't guarantee. And absence of antibody also doesn't mean that person will not be protected, because there are something called memory cells in the body who remember the previous infections, and if an infection comes again, they trigger and start to produce antibody. They expand their population and start to produce antibody. That's how the immune system works. And absence of antibody a given time doesn't mean that person is going to be susceptible. One thing since you raised, I would like to say that reinfection is a possibility. There are a few cases where reinfection has been reported, but we must see that millions and millions people have been infected, and maybe we have a dozen or 20 or 30 cases of reinfection. So it's very rare, and I would say it's not something to worry about, but it is something interesting, clinical and scientific problem to study. Many labs, including us, we are keeping a watch on this and analyzing the reinfected patient samples. But I will say that it's not at the moment to worry about. We should not mix that with the second wave or third wave. Those are not a reinfection thing. Those are different things, and we should prevent those and maybe not worry so much about reinfection at the moment.
Sir, also 30% of population in our country are immune to the COVID. Some kind of studies are saying that. So, can we expect majority of the people in our country will be immune to the COVID as days goes on?
As days goes on, yes, but how long from now is the key question. You said 30%. That is a projection from very small studies compared to the size of this country, and very heterogeneous kind of study. We don't have a coordinated, massive national level seropositivity test that we can declare that we have 30% people who are seropositive that you mentioned. That is based on studies done in few cities, actually in a few thousand, and not in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. So it's a good sign. It's certainly we have something between 15 to 25, 30% people who show seropositivity, but those are very pocket kind of thing in certain populations, certain group of people where there's high density, or people have not followed social distancing and mask and so on. There are still large number of people where you see very low seropositivity. So 30% is a number which we can debate, but slowly, certainly more and more people are getting infected. As you see the results, a lakh and maybe little less that is shown now, but that also one can discuss. So number of people will be increasing. What we should try is to keep that spread of infection lower, slower, so that number of people being infected increase, but slowly. So those who are infected and get symptomatic and need hospital care, their number is manageable. If that number becomes too much, if we accelerate infections, try to achieve herd immunity very soon, then we will create lots of crowd at the hospital and many lives will be lost which can otherwise be saved. That is why we should be patient. We should wear mask, we should do social distancing, hand wash, so on. Virus is very effective, it will slowly spread one after other and after other, but that we have to keep it slow, so that smaller number comes to hospital, which we are already prepared, we can take care. And eventually after several months or maybe year, we reach a point where we can acquire 70% or 60% people, and then we can say that herd immunity has kicked in, provided virus doesn't change so much. If it is like cold virus, common cold virus, it will get back in different form. And so that is something which one has to keep in mind. But so far what we have estimated, its mutation rate is not very alarming. So we might eventually get the herd immunity. But I wish that the herd immunity comes after 1 year, 1.5 year, and not in half year or 3 months, because that will be very, very deadly situation if we have very large number get infected very quickly.
We are seeing that number of cases are decreasing. Why can't we say that COVID severity is reducing?
This is something which I'm not so convinced. I will be very, very happy if the cases are really decreasing. A lot of data shows that way. But certain things you should also keep in mind, that we are testing large proportion by what is called rapid test, which is antigen based test, and it is known by ICMR's own data that accuracy of this or sensitivity of this test is around 50-60%. So while RT-PCR test can be up to 80% sensitivity. So that means what we are now scoring by rapid testing, we should simply double that number if you want to really count what are number of people really infected. So that is one thing that will explain a decrease in the number. Now the second thing is what is the positivity that we are seeing. Now if you take the all India average, we are seeing the positivity of 8%. That means 100 people you test, you get find 8-10 people positive. That is very high, and I must say that that is a lower side. Many cities are having lot more positivity. If you test 100, you will find 15, 20 or even 30 positive. That means we are not testing enough, so we don't know how many people are infected every day. Our numbers are understatements. So that is, if you test more with more effective methods of testing, we'll be able to control this thing better. That is one thing. But one good indicator is that we don't see crowd in the hospital. I understand the number of people coming to hospital are lesser than earlier. So that's very good indicator. That means many people, either they are not panicking, so for mild symptoms or asymptomatic, even if we test positive, they don't rush to hospital, or maybe it is really that the infection is decreasing. So I will take the hospital attendance or hospital crowd of the COVID positive as a better symptom, a better signal than the number that we get from the test, and whatever 50,000 or 60,000, those numbers are not really very accurate, and very difficult also the country of this size to get a very, very accurate number for infection. But even if you see the numbers going down, please remember that this doesn't mean that we are anyway out of this danger. There are countries where the second wave is very strong, and they are even thinking of a second lockdown. So even if the number is going down, which may be happening in some places, but there are places where numbers are going up, whether we see it or not, and we must be aware there's a huge number of people who are around with infection, and if we are not careful, a second wave will come, and we will be in trouble. So therefore we must be aware of the danger and take proper care, which even at the sake of repetition, I must say the care is, when you go out of the home, wear mask, avoid going to crowded places, avoid staying in the closed rooms where the large number of people are there, and wash your hand frequently with the soap. That is the best way of cleaning your hand and getting rid of this virus if you have touched it, and maintain social distancing as much as possible. That is the only thing that is going to be the best guarantee, best vaccine today.
Yeah, sir. But worldwide there are 140 vaccines are under development. So can we say that which one is a promising vaccine? Because here we have AstraZeneca vaccination trials are going faster.
There is no way of see the stage 3 trial results have not started coming in a significant way, so it's very difficult to say. What one nice thing is that all these are different kinds of vaccination approaches, certain differences in them. Some are similar to each other. So people are trying all possible things, and new things are also in pipeline. They may have not reached the vaccine, the trial stage, but they are there. So that is why the hope is there that at least some will come, and most probably we will have choice of vaccines. But only thing is that it will take time. Even I'm just repeating, even if a vaccine is there theoretically, which is under trial, before it will be effectively available for the common people is very far, several months or year away.
Sir, actually there is a question, sir, because here our political parties, political leaders are saying that we can distribute the vaccine freely. Is it really possible, sir?
No, I don't doubt about that. It is a policy decision, and if they decide to, and in fact they should do it, because vaccinating one person, you are saving others. So actually, it's very remunerating process, very rewarding exercise for government to do. But see, the government has to be positive. They have to say the vaccine is coming, which is nothing wrong that vaccine is coming. But please remember, at the same time, every responsible person in government is also saying that don't drop your guards, be careful, danger is still around. So they know that even if vaccine is coming, it is several months away, and there will be logistic in vaccinating a large number of people. So it will take a lot of time, provided vaccine is there. But I would like to warn that these are trials; they may fail. We might not get the vaccine in 6 months. Then that is also a possibility. We should not assume that it is there. Trials are not formalities, or they're not rituals. They are real experiments. And if the results are not good, it will not be approved. That is why the trial is done. So, but let us be hopeful that it will come sometime. But at the moment, for this pandemic, we have to fight without vaccine, without drug. That's what the current situation is. And we know how to fight it, we know how it is spread. So it is the matter is in your hand. Let's not depend so much of the government. The government will do its job, but much can be done by people, by being just simply civil, that don't expose others to the danger by not wearing mask, or not keeping social distancing, or not doing hand wash and so on. So it's our really civil responsibility to behave in a way that infection is controlled, so that we have enough time that by the time vaccine come or drug comes, we have not suffered beyond acceptable limits.
Yes, sir. Why? Because the people are wondering, a lot of money is spending on clinical trials to find the vaccination. How they are going to give free vaccination to the people? Our population is very large, no,
No,
sir,
that
in India.
no, that is true. That is true. But we give lot of things free. There are subsidies in that. If you can give people 1 rupee or 2 rupee per kg rice, you can do anything. You think rice costs that much? Government is giving it, supporting people, which is a very nice thing to do. So therefore, vaccine also can be given. Depends upon how expensive the vaccine is going to be. There will be many people who will be supporting corporate social responsibility. There are big business houses. Government can generate resources. That is not very difficult thing. I don't have so much a problem with that. And like gas subsidy and all, many people who can afford, they can buy, and those who cannot afford, they can be given subsidy. I can imagine large number of ways. That I'm not so much worried that the financing of that I'm sure the government will be able to manage with the help of others in the society. My concern at the moment is if there is a vaccine, how good it is, and most important, we should not wait for it and take care of ourselves at the moment, ourselves, our family members, our friends, and society by social vaccine, and not sit idle or drop guards hoping a vaccine is coming and be disappointed later.
Also, how long it will take to reach everyone, sir, if you are lucky to get the vaccine as soon as?
Uh, that depends upon the logistics, supply chain, many other things which can dramatically change if new technologies, new methods. And I am aware that People are preparing the cold chain, people are making arrangements. But the country of this kind, if the vaccination requires, let's say, 2 dose or 3 dose, we are talking about 1.5 year, 2 year before we can imagine to vaccinate all the people in the country. It will take that kind of time. It's not easy.
Sir, also CCMB's last research was like coronavirus is airborne. Is it really airborne, sir?
So that is not CCMB's last research. CCMB is one of the recent research, you can say. We have many more research to do.
Yes,
So
sir.
that
Previous year, earlier research, sir.
that's the lighter side of it. So we are studying that particular aspect of the coronavirus, whether it is airborne or not. And we have now established technology. We have now established relationship with the hospitals who are cooperating with us to collect the samples in their premises, and we can recover the virus and bring to the lab and estimate how much it is. We are even trying to grow it if it is growable, that is infectious or not. So all the technology, all the things are in place. Sample collection is going on, but it will take us maybe a week or 10 days or maybe 2 weeks to come with some meaningful conclusions by analyzing all the data to say how long and in terms of time and how far in terms of distance the virus spreads through the air. There are some signals that it might be spreading, but how far and how long it stays in air is what we are trying to estimate. Our aim is to first do the study in the context of hospital so that we can advise the hospital management and healthcare worker for better safety measures. By the way, we are also checking in mortuaries, so whether near the dead bodies, what kind of virus concentration is there, and if there is anything to be worried about that or not. Most likely, it's not going to be there. So, and then once we have established hospital situations, let's say we find the hospital, in the hospital environment there is a virus in there, then we might recommend them to operate under negative pressure so that virus doesn't spread beyond the room or something. So those are the things. Then the second phase of that will be that we would like to then sample the air in the, let's say, bank or e-seva offices or metro or buses or cinema hall malls, other crowded places, offices, classrooms, to estimate that what kind of danger exists, if any, and what kind of precaution should be taken in that. So studies is going very well, and one of our sister laboratory in Chandigarh is IMTech is also doing a study in coordination with us. So you will have to wait maybe a couple of weeks before we can tell you what exactly needs to be done and what are our findings. But the work is in progress at the moment.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Nice talk. Thank you.